Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tammy Martin. I'm the Executive Director for Friends of the Desert Mountains, and I want to welcome all of you to the presentation today. How many of you out there know who Friends of the Desert Mountains is? You raise your hand. Quite a few of you. So if you are one of those that do not know what we do, we are a nonprofit land conservation organization, and we are also the support group for the Santa Rosa San Jacinto Mountains National Monument. We do anything from repairing trails to do weed abatement, manning the visitor center, doing the youth education program, and the list goes on. We do have information at the back table if you'd like to become a volunteer. We're always accepting volunteers, especially for our youth education and putting on some of our events. But there are some other areas that we do need volunteers. So please help yourself to the back table. We do have Ada Knuckles and a couple other folks back there that can answer any questions for you. But without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker from Burrtec today. Her name is Clara, and she will be talking about SB 1383, talking about trash and how you should recycle it. So, Clara.
How is everybody doing today? Well, thank you for the warm welcome. My name is Clara Vera, and I'm the Burrtec Municipal Marketing Manager for the area. I should catch my breath since I ran out here, since I was so mesmerized by all this signage that was in the green room. Excuse me. So I'm a little biased because I think today's the most exciting part of your day. I like to talk trash. So today we will be talking a little bit of trash, but mostly recycling and organics, which most of you. How many, by a sign of hands, I should do a couple disclaimers, are from the city of Rancho Mirage? Yes. Oh, good. How about Coachella? Indio? La Quinta? Where else? Palm Desert? Nice. What are the city? Cathedral City? Wonderful. So just a little disclaimer before we get started. A lot of the programs in each one of your cities is going to be implemented differently. So please keep that in mind. It's all allowable within SB 1383. I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. My name is Clara Vera. It does rhyme. It has served me very well in my career. I have a first-generation graduate. I have a bachelor's and a double master's from Cal State San Bernardino. University of San Bernardino. I've been in the industry almost 10 years, and I've had an array of different opportunities to advance my career in higher education and national nonprofits. I absolutely love this industry, and one of my goals is that we make sure that everybody understands really how to embrace recycling, how to really bring that circular economy into your homes and really make it your own. Today we will be talking about one of the most epic legislations that the state of California has implemented in over 33 years. It is very epic, and there's a lot of different components to it. Here we're going to make it a little bit more succinct so that we can focus on more of how it impacts us here. We will be talking about some commercial laws that really were the forefront of SB 1383 and the residential components of it. The commercial components of it is really what drew the state to say, hey, you know, we've really tried to make an impact with our commercial partners, our commercial sector. We're really not getting the decreased landfill mass that we're hoping for. So guess what, state? It's time for us to kick off another law that now will make our residents, or not make, but hopefully be natural stewards of making sure that we recycle and we do organics. This is an engaged presentation, so we will have a couple of raffles at the end. And please feel free, if anybody has any questions, happy to answer those. As I mentioned, this is a very epic legislation, and there are a lot of components to this, and I don't expect everybody to understand it. But hey, I am always open to go to Norma's if anybody wants to continue the trash conversation. I love salami sandwiches, and I'm new to the Valley, so it's definitely an opportunity for me to make some new friends. So I'll go ahead and get started. So a brief interview, we're going to be doing, we did our welcome. We have some recycling laws. We have some, it's here, SB 1383, recycling, contamination, which is wish cycling is what we're calling it in the industry. Recycling resources that will be available to you will conclude. I do have a live demo here, which has been very welcomed in a lot of our other jurisdictions. There's a lot of questions on how do I use a little bucket, and do I put the little bucket out with my green bucket, and what kind of liners do I use, and X, Y, and Z. So we will do a live demo. I always think it's really important to show you some of the items that I recycle. So these are some of the items that came out of my recyclables in the last few days. So those are just there for show and tell, and then we'll do a live demo. So our service commitment, our strength is that we offer customized commercial services that are tailored to meet every business's profile. We understand that every community is different, and we want to make sure that everybody understands that we are here to help. We are here to do that. We'll take care of it. And we definitely understand that every sector has a unique and composite sector to each one of its programs. Our goal is to not only provide you the services, but undeniably make sure that you have the services that you need. We understand that each community is different, and our number one goal is to provide the services and the programs, working with the jurisdictions to make sure that you guys have the resources to ensure that you're recycling right, that you're not sticking batteries in your recyclables, and we'll get to that slide a little bit later. We understand that there's a lot of opportunities. This is such an epic legislation. One of the things that I always like to say in my presentations is if you're in your neighborhood, just take a look down your street and see what your neighbors' recycling carts look like. I'm a little, lucky because in my street, I talk to all my neighbors and I give them all the handouts, and we're doing pretty good on my street. But some other streets, you might see a stroller in the recyclable. You might see some mini blinds in the recyclable. So truly, we want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to understand that we're here for you. We understand that there's a lot of things that are being presented to you by the jurisdictions, and there is a couple of years in SB 1383 that provides public education, and we are working steadfast with each one of the jurisdictions. We have a team out there that's visiting all of the HOAs to provide you the resources to ensure that you guys are recycling right. Burrtec, these are real pictures here. Burrtec Waste Industries and its sister company, EDCO, so if you're ever in the San Diego, LA areas, we're known as EDCO, comprise the largest privately held hauler in the state of California. Originally started in 1955, the company is still family-owned and operated by the Burrs, which really makes it a very special and unique scenario. The Burrs come into our office, they say hello, and that really changes the dynamic of the we'll take care of it, which is really what we embody and what we provide to our communities. We have been in business for over 65 years, and Burrtec has consistently provided excellence in service and satisfaction with strong commitment to customer service. How many of you have gotten to call our customer service and gotten a live rep? We are one of the only haulers in the nation that still has live reps that are local and that are at your service and that will take care of it. And I tend to be a little biased about that because sometimes I can call some of my utility companies and here I am trying to push zero, and I've gotten used to thinking that I can bypass some of the digital components and press pound. That seems to not be working these days. This is a very important slide. The reason why I think it's a very important slide is because oftentimes we are provided these programs and you're told to do it and you're told to do it right, and you're like, why are you giving me this program and I have no idea what I'm doing, and why are you making this a requirement? Why are you making this a mandatory? So for me, it's always really special to share with you guys how they come down from the state and how we all play a component of it. And hopefully at the end of this slide, you have a better understanding of how it's brought down from the top down and how each one of us plays a component of that. So first we have the CalRecycle. Is anybody familiar with CalRecycle? Thank you. CalRecycle is our state enforcement agency. They are like the Department of Motor Vehicles. They are like the Department of Forestry. They are the department that regulate and mandate all of the regulations passed by our state and enforce them to the city. Then we have the cities. The city is a jurisdiction that provides the services to ensure that they're meeting the mandates and the regulatory affairs of the state. And then you have us, Burrtec. We are not the enforcer. We are not the monitor. We are here to provide the services to the city so the city can report and comply to the state. And so sometimes and often you're giving these notices in the mail and you're like, why am I doing this? And you're thinking, well, why is Burrtec doing this? Or why is the city doing this? And so collectively, we are natural stewards of wanting to make sure that we do the right thing by the state of California. But it is really important for us to understand the different levels and the tiered effects in each one of the agencies and the roles that they play into it. And why are we here today? My goal, number one goal, is for you guys to be engaged, to be walk away as natural stewards, to answer any questions that you may have with SB 1383, and hopefully by the end of the day, you'll be natural stewards and you'll be like me, enjoying your neighbors' conversations and talking a little bit of trash and helping out with the recyclables. So recycling laws for business. So here is where we start our journey into recycling and why we're here with SB 1383. As we walk through the next few slides, it is important to have this conversation so that you understand how we got to the residential component of it. So we have AB 341, and this law was passed in 2012, and this law said that if you're a commercial business, similar to when you go visit the river, similar when you go and visit the libraries, you are a commercial business and you are required by law to have a recycling bin. So basically the state of California passed AB 341 in 2012 and said, hey, you're a business, we would like for you to have a recycling bin. However, the difference in this legislation was that there was no teeth to this legislation, and it just said that the commercial business should have a recycling bin. Well, that doesn't always go well with the business, and if you don't tell them they have to, there's a cost factor in it. Not everybody has a staffing, X, Y, Z, and so therefore this was a required law, but it wasn't a mandatory law. Is it the right thing to do? Absolutely. We know that our commercial sector is one of the highest sectors in a city that we can recoup a lot of that recycling material, which goes to a MRF. A MRF is a Material Recovery Facility Center. We have AB 1826. This is where it really becomes epic as a state and their enforcement mechanisms and how they perceive organic and recycling material for the commercial sector. AB 1826 was also passed 2014, started to become enforceable around 2016, and the same with AB 341. This was a requirement, but it wasn't mandated. So commercial businesses had the option to say, we are not going to participate in this. You're not making us do this. And after a 2014 waste characterization that was done by the state of California, it was very evident that our commercial sector had still large percentages of food that was being sent to the landfill. And after that waste characterization is when the state said, hey, cities, we really need you guys to start enforcing AB 1826. And of course, the city didn't have an enforcement mechanism. Cities were, still trying to baffle with staffing, financial overhead, a lot of those items. Over the last 3 years, though, the state did start to enforce and to monitor and to inspect each one of our cities in our Coachella Valley. I'm very happy to say that in the city of Rancho Mirage and likewise through the rest of the valley, we are near 99% compliant with both AB 341 and AB 1826. So a lot of our partners have now started to reduce that. So our next state waste characterization study, which will be done in 2024, based on these last 4 years, we are hoping to see some improvements in the amount of green waste product and the amount of recyclable products that is being sent to the landfill and now being sent to a compost facility such as Coachella Valley Compost and soon to be Edom Hill Compost, which are permitted facilities in the state of California. And so our restaurants here in the Coachella Valley who participate in this program are being diverted to Coachella Valley Compost, where we make this beautiful compost and mulch product. And we are very lucky that in the Coachella Valley, we see a full circle component of that, because all the green waste, all of your now food waste that we're collecting, and all of our commercial sector food waste that's being collected is taken to our Coachella Valley compost facility, where it's turned into that beautiful compost and mulch, and it's actually used by our friends in the agricultural sector in the very east Mecca Thermal Oasis, where they use it for our fruits and vegetables. And therefore, when you go buy those fruits and vegetables, you know now that you have a hand in that. And that's what we're calling for full circle recycling, right? Because it starts at the business, we purchase the items, we consume the items, we dispose of our food waste items, we take it to a facility, we turn those into beautiful compost and mulch, and then get sold to an agricultural farm that uses it to make beautiful vegetables and fruits and other items. Recycling laws for business. This was a big one. This one was triggered by AB 341 and AB 1826, which there was a caveat written in AB 1826 that said in 2020, if you were a front of house business, so a front of house business is this. How many of us have been to a Rubio's? How many of us have been to a McDonald's? How many of us have been to a Subway? How many of us have been to a Panera Bread? All of those businesses are considered a front of house business because they do most of their business front of house. And what that means is that you purchase your own items, you sit down with your own items, and you dispose of your own items. AB 827 states that if you are one of those businesses, you are required by law to have a 3-component receptacle at your facility where you're throwing away your trash, your recyclable, and your organics. Of course, in 2020, we had this unexpected, unprecedented pandemic, which really didn't allow for us to monitor and inspect these. We are up and running, and we are visiting a lot of these businesses. So at that point, a lot of these businesses weren't inviting our guests to come in, and therefore you didn't have access to dispose of this. How many times have we been to a Costco and you see one of these beautiful 3 layout bins, and you're kind of confused about what you're going to put inside of them? And then you're like, you know what, I got this. I'm going to go to Costco. I'm going to purchase my water bottle. I'm going to try to eat my hot dog. I'm going to be an overachiever and get a chicken bake. And you know what? By golly, I'm going to get some ice cream. You didn't finish any of it. You're in trouble. Now you got to dispose of all this stuff, right? And you walk over to the receptacles and you're like, and then you're kind of waiting for like nobody to be looking at you because you're like, which one do I put it in? And so this law, my friends, is only as good as the rest of the laws when each one of us takes a moment to put the right item in the right receptacle so it's in the right place. Oftentimes when we have over 20% contamination, it contaminates the entire load, which means that good items that could be taken to a facility that can be turned into a really cool item can no longer be taken to that, and it has to be landfilled because it has that high level of contamination. So this law in particular, I'm being a super champion of, because one small step that you go in there and put the right item can really change the load of the entire items that we do. So I walked the facility in here when I was making my little rounds, and everything looked really, really good, except for there was a little trash in the blue recycling back there. So again, my friends, this law here just states that those front of house restaurants have to have a 3-container system. They have to be fully labeled and clear. And again, these are only going to be as good as our participation. So I steward the call. I echoed the call. I think I heard a bird earlier. So whoever has the bird, or if the bird is going to come back, I echo the bird sentiments that we should try to put the things in the right place. And we do have resources available for each one of these commercial laws. So if you ever happen to be at one of these restaurants, you can mention to the front of house that they can call Burrtec, and we have free labels and free posters for all of these businesses for free. And we will come and provide those to those businesses so that they can be clearly marked. The moment everybody in here has been waiting for, SB 1383. I know I was trying to take my time here, but this is really what we're here for. SB 1383, as I mentioned, is one of the most epic legislations the state of California has ever implemented in its 33 years. And to be fair, you know, I know a lot of the times we talk about recycling and we talk about, well, what is this recyclable? And what number plastic is this? And does this paper go inside here? And to be fair, the federal government, the last large educational campaign they did for my last research was in the mid-70s. So from a federal perspective down to a state perspective, I think it's important that you guys all know that I know that you're all doing the right thing, and there's plenty of education that the state of California has added to SB 1383 to reinsure those resources and to help you understand what our local facilities are taking and what that means for you. So I am going to try my best here, and hopefully we will get this to play. A very good video, my friends.
Climate change is no longer the future.
It's completely engulfed, and it is hot.
It's already here.
California is hitting a fearsome milestone.
We're experiencing temperatures, world record-breaking temperatures in the state of California, 130 degrees.
We're seeing bigger wildfires, stronger storms, and devastating droughts.
I'm standing currently 40 feet underwater, or should be. Today, we are advancing a drought emergency.
But both the state and here at CalRecycle, we're doing something about it.
SB 1383 is the biggest change to happen in waste management in over 30 years.
The new super pollutant reduction strategy rules for organics recycling and edible food recovery are part of California's bold effort to fast-track climate progress by reducing the most potent climate superpollutants like landfill methane emissions. Food, fiber, wood, and other organic waste materials make up the largest material types landfilled in California every year. When organic waste material decomposes, it emits methane, a short-lived climate superpollutant 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide, and a major contributor to climate change. California's short-lived climate pollutant reduction law calls on the state's 40 million people, its businesses, and every level of government to reduce landfill methane emissions by achieving a 75% statewide reduction in organic waste disposal by 2025. The law also requires actions to make sure at least 20% of currently disposed edible food is redirected to Californians who don't have enough to eat. The state is encouraging cities and counties to start planning now.
There is a need for more infrastructure to process food waste.
To provide organics collection services to every resident and business in the state, and to connect grocery stores, restaurants, schools, state agencies, and other large food suppliers with local food recovery organizations to feed people, not landfills. In addition to putting more food on the table, the law will reduce pollution and greenhouse gases, the equivalent of taking nearly 2 million cars off the road for a year. By using innovative methods to make and use compost, we'll create things like biofuel and electricity and turn depleted dirt back into nutrient-rich, water-retaining soil. Building the next generation of recycling infrastructure will create about 17,000 green jobs of the future. Ambitious goals, putting California in a much better position to protect the health of our people and our planet.
The really big solution here is taking on the climate crisis.
Because it's still possible, I think, to avoid the worst outcomes.
That, my friends, is SB 1383 in a super, super high-level nutshell. As you can see, SB 1383 was passed in 2016, and as Kara Morgan, one of our fearless leaders at Cal Recycle, had mentioned, it really is 30 years plus that it's one of the most epic legislations. And so you say, what is SB 1383 and how does it affect me and what do you need from me to participate? SB 1383 has an ensuite of articles that is brought into SB 1383. For our sake, we will focus on the residential component of it. The commercial component of it is really the components of AB 341 and AB 1826 and AB 827, which we've already discussed. The edible food component is really geared towards businesses to comply with. And just a couple of steps back, most of our tier 1 businesses, which is our supermarkets, our grocers, our mega super grocer markets, our large facilities, they are already donating the food. A lot of what SB 1383 does is that it enhances the amount of record keeping that the city is mandated to do to provide those reports to the state in order to ensure that when they do those waste characterizations, that we are meeting those targets. So again, SB 1383 is one of those epic legislations, and it's really geared towards several components. Mainly for us here today, it's the residential component, and if you are in any one of these various cities, you have already started our SB 1383 journey. If you are in Palm Desert and Rancho Mirage, we're about 2 weeks away from the entire city being rolled out residential. If you're in some of the other cities, we've gone live if you have a green program, and stay tuned for any other city or reach out to your city to learn more about what that means to you. So here's kind of the timeline. I always preface with this is that, yes, January 1st was the absolute kickoff timeline when SB 1383 was enacted, but there was also some caveats in SB 1383 that allowed jurisdictions to put together an implementation plan that would allow for them to cover all of the articles that are required for this, right? January 1st, there was no way anybody in the state that was just going to click the light switch on and deliver thousands of barrels. So we're really across the state. We're all in the same place. We are all trying to deliver the equipment that you guys will be using or are already using. And so rest assured that if you haven't gotten that equipment, you are. So 2022, January 1 was when the law kicked off all of the deliverables that needed to be in place. Most cities still, because of the pandemic, in those 2 years, city council meetings were shut down or they were moved. And so therefore, a lot of the items like passing a new enforceable mechanism like a code enforcement, most cities had to have an ordinance in place in order to make it enforceable in order to implement the programs. We also had to do a lot of renewal of programs and services. We had to do a lot of capital improvements in order for us to be in the place that we are today, which is the deliverables of the equipment that most of you are getting. So in a nutshell, SB 1383 wants to reduce the amount of food waste that we're taking to the landfills. It wants to increase the edible food recovery from local businesses to ensure that we are feeding the needy families across the state. It wants to make sure that we are doing our part to make sure that we are fighting that climate crisis. And those are really the major components of SB 1383 for us here today. So this is for Rancho Mirage residents. This doesn't mean that it's not, mirrors some of the items that you may be getting. So City and Burrtec earlier this year passed their enforceable mechanism as every other city in the greater Coachella Valley. So around about Q1, Q2, we were working steadfast in getting those enforcement ordinances and mechanisms to council, send them over for public hearing, got all of those approved. And then now, through the summer, we're reaching out to all of the HOAs, working with the HOAs, providing them property manager toolkits that gives them social media pieces, flyers, draft memos that they can send out to residents, all kinds of en-suite educational material to make sure that each one of the residents has the information on when we will be in your community delivering the items. How many of you had a property management that sent out material on when you were going to be given deliverables? Oh, wonderful. That's good to hear. Thank you. So I'm glad that your property managers took advantage of that, because we were only going to be as good as the information that was related down to the residents. And so part of SB 1383, in one of the 13 articles, it requires each one of the jurisdictions to provide a notice by USPS mail to each property owner identifying when the program was going to go live. For City of Rancho Mirage, La Quinta, and Coachella, that notice went out on October 1st, which gave you the window to prepare for the equipment that was going to be delivered. And that's where we're at now. So most of our residents were about 80% in Rancho Mirage, a little bit about 85. Palm Desert were about 90% rolled out, and some of the other cities were about 100% rolled out. So just depending on wherever city you are, just check in with your city. Every city has the opportunity to roll out a unique program that is special and unique to each one of the communities. So please keep that in mind. And when you get the program, please use it. So what will my program look like? So most of us were used to the burgundy cart that was for trash. So part of one of the articles for SB 1383 is that it's mandating the entire state of California to have this en-suite of colors, so that if I'm visiting my friends in Pasadena, if I am visiting maybe Napa, or maybe I'm down in San Diego, by 2036, the law says that everybody's required to have blue for recycling, gray for trash, and green for organic. So my friends, the next time that you go visit any one of your cities, or friends in a different city, or family members, and you're so inclined to help, you can now say that you would be able to identify correctly what item goes into each one of those barrels. And this is just one of many of the requirements that are there. Some cities are choosing to roll out the rollout of the colors in incremental. So if you are in a city of like La Quinta has until 2026 to make an assessment on how many blue barrels have been delivered and where we're at with colors. Cities like Palm Desert and Rancho Mirage have decided to do a full-on change of color scope. So how many of you guys are still waiting for your blue barrel? Oh, in your Rancho Mirage, right? So you should be in the next 2 weeks, you should be getting your programs. This goes back to edible food recovery. We'll spend a couple seconds here. Edible food requirement is a part of SB 1383. It requires all large businesses in Tier 1, and then there's a Tier 2 that gets enacted in 2024, which means that if you're a smaller restaurant, a smaller grocery, you will also be required to provide edible food to an agency by 2024. Right now, the focus is on large businesses, large hotels, large restaurants, large grocers who are already providing that edible food recovery to many of our partner agencies like Fine Food Bank, Salvation Army, Martha's Village, a lot of those places. One of the main things that the cities have to do right now is record keep. They have to say, who are you giving it to? How much are you giving it to? How often are you giving it to? And what are the items that you're giving to? And the city is required to do that monthly to each one of these agencies. So there's a lot of record keeping that's happening here. So what is organic waste? So organic waste is really anything that can be eaten. It's food scraps, it's green waste, it's paper napkins that don't have that wax covering on them. It's your eggshells, it's your end peels, it's your grass, it's your grass clippings, your pruning, your bougainvilleas, your plants, your dairy, your cooked meat, your bones, your cheese, your eggs, your cottage cheese. Now just remember that the goal of SB 1383 is to reduce the amount of food waste that's going into your green waste barrel. So once you get your program, I've been doing test pilots over the last 2 years in my home, and I do have to tell you that at first I was throwing away a lot of food. Once I started to really understand what I was throwing away and how big audacious I was in thinking that I was going to make prime rib on a Tuesday, knowing that I was not going to get out of work till 6 o'clock and then I would be wasting the food, that's when I really started to understand and get a rhythm in my home on how much food I was wasting and what behaviors I needed to change in my home to make sure that I reduce the amount of food waste. So again, soiled paper, cardboard, greasy pizza boxes, paper napkins, green waste, all your landscaping, food scraps, uneaten, partially eaten food. A lot of these items here is what you already have in your kitchen. Yes. I can email these items to you. I have a What is Organics. I do have collateral in the back. The What is Organics, I have a Recycle This. So there's plenty of collateral back there. There are some that are just Rancho Mirage phased, but there are some universal pieces that does have What is the Organics. Yeah, so our facilities are equipped to handle that level of intake. And we also are following the guidelines of the EPA and our state public health standards, which allows us to take those items. So we use the windrow mechanisms, which really helps turn the product. We are also asking for our items to be pre-sorted and pre-screened. So we're really going through the items, and that's really why Coachella Valley Compost has such a high level of compost that really is being used in organic farms, because we do have the mechanisms and the capability and the machinery to be able to turn that compost around and make it beautiful. And since you're a master gardener, we should probably meet, because my cactus isn't doing very well. And I'm really concerned because it was flourishing. So I'm wondering if there's a little energy that's going around the plant that, yeah, maybe you can help me later. I was really concerned. I was talking to my mom about it last weekend. Oh, okay. Well, I did sprinkle a little compost on it, so the compost does make my bougainvilleas very happy and very perky. So I'm hoping that after a couple of days, I won't have this ongoing fear. Was there a hand there? Yeah. Absolutely. Greasy pizza box. Yes. How greasy? Greasy. Greasy. Not just light. Now, if you're eating pizza, you probably want it to be really greasy, but yes, absolutely. And you look, if you wanted to be an avid recycler, you can take the pizza box, and usually I find that half of the pizza box is super greasy and the other half is not. What I do in my home is my son knows that he has to cut it down the middle, and the non-greasy part goes in the blue bin, and the greasy now is being chopped down and placed into the green bin. Yes. Absolutely. Those are Tetra Paks, and those are certified compostable. We love those, and our particular programs and facilities do take those and celebrate those. Tetra Paks. In the green bin. No, I'm sorry. So Tetra Paks, I'm sorry. Let me go back. I got super excited because I saw a lot of questions. So the Tetra Paks go in the blue recycling bin. Sorry. Yes. Almond milk, oat milk, coconut milk, regular milk, orange juice, cranberry juice, chicken stock. Those are super good to use inside the pressure cooker. I see Ada walking by. I think she's giving me the 40-minute mark. Let's get through these. Contamination, wish cycling. We are facing in our industry, so not only am I telling you that now you have to figure out what organics is and what green waste is, but let's talk a little bit about your recycling container. So whether you have a gray recycling container or you have a blue recycling, just remember that the industry is facing right now what we're calling wish cycling. I wish the stroller was recyclable. I wish my mini blinds were recyclable. I wish the broomstick was recyclable. Those are what we're calling a wish cycling. It means that you're putting the wrong items in the right bin. And so, for example, I always like to present to you the foam boards. So they should look like this. They shouldn't be broken down. They should look like this, right? If you have popcorn, bag it and put it in your recyclable so it doesn't make a mess in your street. This stuff is really awesome. These cans go inside there. This goes in your recyclable. The liquid? This, yes. Blue or gray, whatever you may have in your home. And the styrofoam things go in? And your styrofoams. We are one of the only facilities in the state of California that actually accepts and makes this into a dream product that is used in our construction and demolition friends and companies.
So where does it go?
This goes in your blue or gray.
Blue or green?
Yeah, so depending on where you're at. Blue and gray.
Oh, gray.
Yes. So some of our friends here haven't gotten the blue program yet. So if you still have a gray, it's still your recyclable, and yes, you can put these inside. Yes. Tin foil should go in your trash. Keep in mind that if it's smaller than your hand, I would need 1 billion of those to make something that a facility can use and resell. So if it's stretchy, if it's about the size of your hand, it really does belong in your trash. So this one's super quick here. The picture on the blue is really what your recyclables should look like. Please keep ooey, gooey, chewy liquids out of your recycling bin. That is the #1 contaminant inside of your recycling bin. Keep ooey, gooey, chewy liquids out of your recycling bin. It should look like the picture on the very right. Dry, glass, cardboard, tin, aluminum, jugs, paper, flattened cardboard in your blue or gray recycling bin.
So with recycling like that, do you expect that the jars are washed?
No.
Okay. Are the labels supposed to be removed?
No. No. Now, if you're like me in my home, the peanut butter jelly jars, those get scraped down to the bottom. Absolutely. But do I expect you to rinse and wash them? No, they go through a material recovery facility center, a MRF, and they get through a sorted process, a cleaning and sanitation process, which we prepare for that third party that will come and take the valuable material. Clamshells? Like eating? Oh, okay. I'm a little hungry, so that's why I thought clam, linguinis, we can go to Norma's. But if not, no, clam shells would go in your trash. Yes. The styrofoam, the foamy, what happens with those, my friends, is that there's a lot of level of plastic and chemical in those, and the livelihood that we can take that and repurpose it and bring it into a new product is almost slim to none. Well, the key word is what we've been told. So what we are finding in our industry and running these test pilots is that a lot of the items that state they're compostable, that state they're biodegradable, are really not. Yes, and we will be coming out with a piece as soon as we finish our last pilot program, because I want to be able to test the program so that I can have a slide that gives you exactly what we purchase in our local stores here. I always find that it's more impactful if you can relate to it, right? And so I buy things that say that they're compostable and biodegradable inside like Whole Foods, Sprouts, Trader Joe's, Target, Walmart. So like I said, I love what I do, so I go to the nearest grocery stores and I find those items and then I send them over to our facility and I say, hey, can you see if this breaks down? And then I provide you the feedback a couple months down the road. So we are one of the super lucky regions in the state of California. We will be having 2 in the near future. Our one facility is Coachella Valley Compost, and it's located in the city of Coachella.
So just as an example, a lot of places have gone to cardboard coffee cups.
Yes.
Is a empty cardboard coffee cup going in the blue or
So as long as it doesn't have major, that waxy film, it would go inside of your green because it would be compostable. So like the paper ones, right? They usually are like that tan brown color. Yeah. Depending on where you go, some of those facilities may only have a trash can in their door.
I was always told that glossy paper, something that's got a film on it, like a magazine page, is not recyclable, like a newspaper would be, or a sheet of paper you put through your home printer. If it's got a glossy finish, there's some sort of coating on it that can't be recycled.
Yeah, so I think that happened early on, and it's just like anything else, right? It's like my dress size, it shifts, it goes up and down. So that's one of those things that we are finding that our facilities will be able to take those along with the newspaper. So wish cycling. We wish that it was recyclable, but strollers, my friend, are reusable, they're donatable, but they don't belong in your recycle bin. If you have a contractor that's doing work, please make sure that they're using the right bin and that they're not throwing away paint and your old toilet or sink inside the green container. Believe it or not, I find those things in those containers. 1 through 6. 1 through 6 is really those high-level plastic resins, and I can't say the word. It's like 10 vowels and 10 syllables all at once, and I'm not that fancy, but 1 through 6 will get us okay. Yogurt container lids, yes, absolutely. So here, my friends, is actual green waste containers and a load of green waste that came into CVC. Now, you can't really see the components on there, but on the back end of that, somebody literally shoved a bumper inside of their green waste container and thought that it was biodegradable or something. I don't know. But there's also the plastic bins in there from the gardening. There was some dressers in this load. I drove by a neighborhood. They used it as a trash receptacle. On top of the load over there is from a commercial business. They decided to use it as a trash container. And then I drove by another business, and they used it for all of their dry recyclables. So these are real things, and this is why we're saying take our time, get to know the program, look at the resources, and just take some time to really embrace and become that natural steward. And coming to these kinds of presentations, and that was one of the number one goals that we had early on, is that we have a better understanding of where we're at today and how you can make a true impact not only in your home, but with your neighbors so that you can put the right items in the right place. Yes? Well, actually, if you're in the city of Rancho Mirage, you can go to their website, and there's an FAQ, and all of the pieces that you'll see in the next few slides are loaded on there. If you go to the Burrtec website, all of the new resource pieces are also on the website. And so, like if you're in Palm Desert, they have the app, the wizard, that you can, put in whatever it is that you're looking for, and it'll tell you if we take it or not. But if not, go to your city's websites. Everybody has all of the new collateral. Go to the Burrtec website, scan the QR codes. You will get an update on what we're taking and what we're not. Food scraps, my friends. I see Ada getting closer and closer to me, you guys. And so here's food scraps, my friends. So this is actual items from my home on what food scraps and food waste is. So food waste, I didn't particularly like the food at this restaurant, so I didn't really finish the food. That's food waste. Food scraps, 2 tops. Egg peels. In this particular picture here, I was making chicken soup, so you see the bones, you see the cilantro, you see the potato peels, you see the onion, you see the onion peels, you see the shallots. I love shallots. And then in this particular week, you see the bean sprouts. That was food waste because that was one of those weeks that my doctor was like, you need to eat more greens. So I thought I was going to do really good and put those sprouts on my sandwiches and salads. It didn't happen. It stayed in the very back. It grew into some molded piece that I didn't even know what it was, so I had to throw it away, and I felt really bad. I never bought them again. And so that's really what that looks like. I know we're running out of time, but I did do my food scraps here. So in here, we've been trying to eat more salad at home. So this is salad. I'm doing my own vinaigrette. So I have lemon peels in here. I have my paper towels for me cleaning my hands. I have a tomato, onion, and some tea bags because I like to drink that well rested in the evenings. And this is my food scraps from literally breakfast and dinner. So you would put that in the compostable bucket. Yeah. And
Including that plastic in the back of your plate? That plastic?
so that plastic would have just gone in the trash.
So what about the plastic you just held up in your bin there?
Oh, this thing here?
Yeah.
Yes, so Burrtec is asking for everybody to contain their material. So you can use a plastic bag. I have samples here of vegetable bags, tortilla bags. I have these lined bags that I found at Cost Plus, and then we eat a lot of rice in my house, so.
What happens to those bags that you compost?
So we have a Thor separator. We have purchased a Thor separator at our facility. So actually, when we take all of your items, because this program is so new and we understand that there's going to be a learning curve, and we totally understand that. When we collect your precious material, we understand that we're going to have to sort it, look through it, provide those deliverables. It goes through a machine. It shakes out the food, and all of the plastic gets thrown into the landfill. One of the big questions is garbage disposal. Here's what I'll say again. SB 1383 hopes that we reduce the amount of food waste that we put down the garbage disposal. If you do, which you can, it goes through the facility, it gets treated, and the sludge, right, whatever wasn't treated by the water, gets sent to a different part of their facility where we pick up as sludge, and it gets taken to the landfill. So the high-level note here is that we should reduce the amount of food that we scrape, right? So I know that we're all going to do really good, and the next time that we meet, we're going to laugh about this, and we're going to know that we didn't put a lot of food down the garbage disposal. But yes, you can do that. Some of the tips that you can do is if I'm cooking something that's really saucy or that has a lot of garlic, and I'm just like, oh, I probably don't want to stick that in there, I freeze my food scraps. So I will take this, and I always remember my mom used to do that, and I had a full circle moment with her 2 weeks ago. I'm like, hey, remember that when you used to put the bones in the little bags, and then on trash day you took it out and put it in? There's a tip for you. You don't have to, and remember, my friends, that the food waste is already going in your trash. We're just asking you to put it in your green waste. So anything that might have been sticky, icky, gooey rodents, if you didn't have them before, you're not going to have them anymore. So this is just an example of that. My friends, I wouldn't be fair to not give my friends, the drivers, the respect and the communities that they do. Please, please, please do not put batteries in any of your containers. Please do not put pool chemicals in your containers. They cause trash truck debris fires. So the trash truck didn't catch on fire. It's the items that we put into our bins that caught on to fire, right? You follow me? So because of the items that we disposed of that are HHW, household hazardous waste, that we placed in there, you got to remember these are spaceships coming to your home, and they have live compactors, and it has heat, and it has friction, and those batteries, they are not the best, and they're not the friendly. Please reach out to your cities. Please reach out. I know many of our cities out here, you guys are very fortunate, have HHW pickups for you that are included as part of your services and programs. Just call us. Tell us you want us to pick it up, and we will pick it up, and most of the time it's included as part of your service. So please help keep our drivers safe. Help keep our community safe. This is an actual picture of last fall where we did some research and we did an audit, and it was batteries that were placed in the recyclable loads. I got your hand up there. I'll get you here in a quick hot second. Recycling resources, these are the resources that we were talking about that are available to you on the website, so please pick some up or download these. It gives you all of the tips. What is organics? How do I use my kitchen pail? How do I minimize the odor? How do I start the program in my kitchen? If you're a Rancho Mirage resident, the City of Rancho Mirage is doing a sweepstakes. There's a form in the back. Please pick it up, enter, and January 19th, we will be at City Council pulling the name and providing a recycling all-star basket to those. Yes, please. Sure. Well, I think that's the million-dollar question, right? Is that we're finding that some products just really aren't biodegradable and they aren't combustible. So that's part of the pilot program. You're welcome to purchase those bags. You're welcome to use them in their home. It's going to go through the same program, and we will be sorting out the food from those. I hope that helped.
Does that include the bags that come with the little countertop pail? The bags came with that?
Yes, so a lot of the cities are doing welcome kits, right? So you'll get the pail plus a couple of liners and the how-to guide. So yes, so the goal is to do this. The goal, you don't have to use this. I don't use this. What I use is this, and I literally put the plastic bag on this, and I chop, and I throw, and I throw, and I throw, and I do have to credit Rachel Ray in her iconic 2000 come out when she had the garbage bowl, right? She was on to something. And so ever since then, I just thought it was brilliant. It cut my space time. I didn't have to go back and forth to the trash. So I literally use this bowl, and I literally put that plastic bag, yes, into my bowl. Or hey, you could use this. I have a small home kitchen, so I don't have a lot of counter space. So I don't use this one. I didn't opt to get one in my city. But yes, you let's just say that you want to use yours. Put the liner in here, cook for a couple weeks, put the food scraps in there, take the liner with the food, walk it over to your green waste container, drop it, walk away, enjoy your meal, enjoy your family, enjoy whatever show you may want to do. But absolutely, you can use the biodegradable bags. You don't have to use the biodegradable bags. You can repurpose, reuse these until you go through them. Absolutely use the welcome kits to kind of get familiar and build your programs in your kitchens that you're already kind of doing. And we're just asking for a couple of more steps to get that over to the green waste.
One question.
Yes.
I put a big plastic liner in between that and then put the bags in there because otherwise I feel sorry for the guys emptying garbage that, you know, if they're all, man, the disintegrates comes by. I don't want anybody covered in garbage. Is that a bad thing? I mean, because that bag is not recyclable, but it's one big trash bag in there with all the bags inside there.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Thank you for taking a couple of extra steps. Absolutely. One of the things that I find that I do on the bottom of this bowl is that I put a little bit of baking soda and a couple essential drops of orange or lime or peppermint, whatever I have. I'm a big essential oils gal at the house. So I take a couple of sprinkles of baking soda, a couple of drops of peppermint or citrus or lemon. I put it at the very bottom, and it lasts all week, and it keeps the moisture down, and it smells really good. But yes, you can absolutely do that. If you want to line the liner, you're absolutely welcome to do that.
Okay, so it's not a problem because I'm putting a non-recyclable revolver.
Yeah, no, you're perfectly fine. We do want you to contain. Now, again, if you want to use the paper bags to contain them and drop them in your barrel, that is fine. That is absolutely fine. If you want to use the wax liners, that is absolutely fine. I have some of those here that you can find in your store. It's literally made out of beeswax, and then when I run out of bags, I use these, and literally I will put the food in there and it sticks, and then I just throw it in there and it does its thing.
Is the end product compost available to the public?
It is.
And do we go to this facility in Coachella to obtain it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, keep in mind that what city are you in? Okay, so La Quinta at the shredding events, we're giving away free compost. So just stay tuned for that. A lot of your cities are doing that. So please watch the websites, log on. It's part of SB 1383. We didn't go into all 13 articles, although remember what I said, we can go to Norma's and talk about this. But if not, you just check your city's websites for the calendars for 2023, where we are providing some of those programs for you in conjunction with another program. So without further ado, yes? Absolutely. So we will be working on your program over the next few months. Stay tuned. We're working steadfast with the city, with the group over there, fantastic city as well. You will be getting notifications in your email notifications from the city, which will give you the outline of what the next several months will look like for you. And just rest assured that 30 days, as part of SB 1383, it states that the city has to provide you a 30-day notice in case you miss one of those emails. But we will be providing that outreach material for their website as well. So thank you for your inquiry. And without further ado, my friends, we spoke a lot of trash. We added a little recycling. We learned a little bit about organics. My name is Clara Vera, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you. I'm here to answer any other questions if you'd like. Not the best shampoo.